Hello everyone, Jai Hind. I am Major Mohammed Ali Shah, the proud privilege and honor to be in conversation with a very illustrious and a very renowned personality who's a senior research fellow at the ORF. He's been a journalist, an academician, and he has expertise on our western frontiers, on the neighbor on the western frontiers. Well, a lot of expertise. We'll ask him further what he thinks about his take on the Pakistan elections, which I would say a big circus and a big, we don't know, I mean, big entertainment, in fact. So, of course, he needs no introduction at all, Mr. Sushant Sareen. And let's go straight ahead and take his view as to what he thinks about the whole business of the Pakistan elections. Sir, Jai Hind, and thank you very much for spending time, sir.
Thanks for having me here on your show.
Very kind of you, sir, to spare time. Sir, we have seen the mockery which is made time and over again in Pakistan. And in fact, you were of the believer at once upon a time that, there could be peace with India and Pakistan once upon a time. But now, of course, you've learned the hard way. You know it's incorrigible. वो अगर उर्दू में बोलूं तो नासुर है पाकिस्तान. अब सर जो इलेक्शन हो रहे हैं वहां पे, regarding that, what is your take? What is the whole delay and what is the whole tamasha about the election? Could you just explain to us your take, sir?
Yeah, it's a right royal mess that's come out. It's what I describe as a pig's breakfast. Simply because, in a manner of speaking, the Pakistan army did everything by the book, right? In the sense that the planning was perfect, the training was perfect. As a military man yourself, you'll understand what I'm saying. That they trained it all, they gamed it all, they put in place all the elements for victory. They prepared the field. They were fighting a battle on a field which was favorable to them, or so they thought. Now, and as you would know as a military man, that the moment a battle starts, all those plans go to for a six, because at the end of the day, it's a dynamic situation, and what you've worked on a piece of paper does not play out on a battlefield. And that's what's happened. So, if you look at what the Pakistan army did, they had decided we will not let Imran Khan come in, we will not give him a level playing field. They poached his party and took all those so-called influential and electable people, put them into two other parties, and some of them deserted to Nawaz Sharif's side. So that was one big blow dealt to Imran. He was put in jail. Many of his senior leaders were put in jail. That was the second blow. The third blow was that they were not really allowed to campaign. They had no funds. Their party symbol was taken away virtually on the eve of the election, just about 2 weeks before the elections were to take place. Uh, their party structure was completely decimated. Uh, their workers were running around. Many of them were in hiding. Their candidates were in hiding. Many of the people who actually were been returned victorious in the elections were actually fighting, while they were hiding. They couldn't come out in public because the Pakistan army is wanting to arrest them and put them in jail under, for alleged offenses on the 9th of May last year. So they did all of that. On this, at the same time, they backed Muslim League Nawaz to a point where Muslim League Nawaz thought we don't even need to canvass properly. It's a done deal as far as we are concerned. Now, all of this was perfectly planned and perfectly, the assessments were that, we'll get a certain result. Yes, we will let Imran Khan win a few seats so that it's seen that, at the end of the day, we were not bloody minded about it. So let them fight the election also. We have prepared the ground in a way that they cannot win under any circumstance. So they prepared it all, and they had thought that we'll get a verdict which will, Nawaz Sharif will come out on top with about 100 odd seats, maybe 90. And then he will, and I'm talking about the directly elected ones, he'll get about 90 seats. He needs 134 for a majority. So the rest he'll cobble together with, the newly created Istikam Pakistan Party, the PTIP, which is led by the former Chief Minister of KP, and a very close, in fact, a school buddy of Imran Khan, and they later on had a falling out, Parvez Khattak. So he'll get a few seats. Or kar kara ke, we'll mix and match, and we'll make sure that this guy gets a majority, and then these guys will rule, but we will have enough, in store to ensure that these guys don't have a simple majority so that they cannot cock a snook at us. So, perfect planning. Now, what happens is that this is guerrilla campaigning of the highest, uh, sorry, guerrilla campaigning, election campaigning of the highest quality. uh, of course, what the army did not realize is the sentiment on the street, and there's a complete disconnect out there. And that sentiment on the street went in favor of Imran Khan, not because people are very impressed with his governance record, but he kind of attracted all the anger and the disgust over what was happening. He attracted all that support on his side. Everybody knew that there is this body of opinion, but nobody had any estimate of how large it was. And then, as is usual, uh, people love to drink their own Kool-Aid. So what they started doing was that they started coming out with these pre-election surveys, which projected that Nawaz Sharif's popularity is now skyrocketing, Imran Khan's popularity is plummeting. All of that they did. Now I'm giving you what the setting was. Now what happens is that the polling takes place. Even in that, they put a lot of obstructions. But the polling takes place, and when the results start getting counted, they suddenly see something really weird. That the independent candidates, most of them Imran Khan's people, are sweeping. Now, this came like a bolt from the blue. This was something nobody ever saw coming their way. So by about 10:30 in the night, the army panicked. They shut down all the counting. Okay. There was this really fancy, they call it fancy, it's actually very rudimentary. It's really shitty stuff, that election management system which they have. Utter crap. But they call it state of the art for whatever reason. That kind of shut down. The counting stopped. They threw out journalists from many of the counting centers. They sealed that. And then for the next 5, 6 hours, there was absolutely no idea what the hell was happening. Around 2:33 in the night, somebody comes out and says that no, it's about to start, it's about to start. And then by early morning, results start coming out. That the counting is started, and now the results are flipped. But the results are flipped in a way that everybody has something to crib about, but everybody has something to celebrate. So they didn't mess with Imran Khan's mandate in KP, not majorly, apart from a few seats. They significantly messed with his mandate in Punjab and in Karachi. And what they did was that they gave the Karachi seats wholesale, and many Pakistanis, and that is one thing you have to give to the Pakistanis. They have a sense of humor in the worst of times. And like I was telling another person the other day, that in Punjabi there's a Punjabi song also, but it's kind of emblematic of Pakistanis. Rulते गए आप पर चस बड़ी आई है. They have got ruined but मजा बड़ा है. तो वही उस टाइम So what they did was they gave MQM wholesale seats, right? Even the MQM was not expecting, and people were joking that, yaar, MQM was also telling them कि भाई यार आप बस करो और ना दो, because if you give me more seats, then I'm screwed, because I was not even expecting this result. So they gave that. So Karachi was robbed. In Sindh, People's Party would have won anyways, but People's Party kind of doubled down on fixing the election in their favor, and perhaps won maybe half a dozen seats more than what they should have. And in Punjab, the Pakistan army very clearly played the fiddle in elections in Islamabad, in North Punjab, and some seats, selected seats of Central Punjab. Uh, Maybe a couple in South also, but certainly in Central and North Punjab and Islamabad. And North Punjab because it's the catchment area of the Pakistan Army, the biggest catchment area of the Pakistan Army, and there is no way that they can convey that the heartland of the Pakistan Army, from where the bulk of its soldiery comes, has voted overwhelmingly in favor of Imran Khan. तो वहां पर किया, but उसके बावजूद what happened was that the result which has come out, you've got a massively fractured mandate. The army is now trying to give it a spin that, look, maybe we can make something out of this bad situation. Yeah, it's a fractured mandate, but if we can get the People's Party and Muslim League to collaborate, then maybe government can be formed. It'll still be a weak government. It'll still be a government with which we can impose upon. We can do all of that stuff. So, and we can carry this thing forward. But it doesn't look like uh, this is going to be a very durable kind of arrangement, far less enduring. Simply because there are just too many problems. Everybody knows who's won. Everybody knows who's lost. Everybody knows which way the wind is blowing, um, and it's a right royal mess. Now, again, what you have to understand is that this is not the first time the army has played a fiddle late in the night on election night. They've done it in the past. They've done it in 2018. They've done it to some extent in 2013. Virtually every election, I can tell you that late night, the results which are coming by the time you reach next morning, you know, many of those results have been flipped. Now you could say, well, this was because counting was going on. Why were you jumping the gun? But that's not the case. If in smaller constituencies you have big leads of 20, 25, 30,000, then it means that basically the trend is established and that's the way it's going to go. And then by the next morning, when you get up, you suddenly see the guy who was winning by 25,000 votes has suddenly lost by 5,000 votes. Then you know a fiddle has been played. Again, this has happened in the past. But what is different this time is that it's a whole scale, loot of the mandate. Number one. Number two, it is happening in times which are not normal. These are very, very abnormal times. Under normal circumstances, somebody will scream, shout, everything, and things will go back and settle down. Um, Everybody will work at the same old wages, and then suck up to the army that, okay, fine, this time you've taken away our chance, next time give us a better chance. But this time around, something has got broken. And one is that you have this massive economic crisis. Secondly, you have a massive security crisis. Third, you have massive political polarization. Fourth, you don't have the kind of monies and diplomatic support you had in the past. How are you now going to manage a, an already controversial election which has now been botched beyond belief, uh, and it is supposed to throw up a government which is now supposed to manage all those crises? So I don't see any clear path ahead that can be taken which can lead to a degree of stability and certainty. I don't see that happen. If it does, it will again be a miracle. A miracle, nothing short of Imran Khan's victory, because I always said that many people were of the view that Imran Khan could get 40, maybe even 50 seats. I was of the view that given the kind of clampdown on him and his party, if he manages to get 40, 50, it will be a miracle. Now, what has
No,
happened is a lot more than a miracle. It's like, miracle plus plus. And
right.
similarly, if whatever arrangement is now going to be worked out, if it survives for the full term of 5 years to 2029, I think that will again be a miracle plus plus. And as far as I know, from whatever little math I've studied, the chances of miracle plus plus happening twice in a row is next to zero. So I really don't think that's going to happen. So it's a very unstable arrangement that's being cobbled together. It's not going to last very
Right.
long.
Right. So, and what's going to be the fate of Imran Khan? What fate will he meet? Like, will he, till when will they keep him in jail? And because we've seen assassinations happening, we've seen exiles happening of the previous head of states of Pakistan. What's going to happen with Imran Khan, in fact?
So, look, for the foreseeable future, at least that's what the grapevine is. The foreseeable future is likely to be in jail.
Okay.
And he has refused to go into exile. In fact, if he was to even go into exile, it will be no comfort for the military regime, because his ability to mobilize support outside Pakistan is phenomenal. Unlike Nawaz Sharif and others who were literally like living like retired men, doing some drawing room politics, this guy will do rabble rousing on the streets and on the internet and what have you. So I don't see how exile is going to bring any comfort to the Pakistani establishment. If they
So,
were to bump him off in jail, it could unleash a storm which I don't think the Pakistan army can handle. So I think they'll be very scared of having him bumped off. You remember what happened with Nawaz Sharif when he supposedly fell sick? Everybody panicked that if Nawaz Sharif was to die in jail, all hell will break loose. So it's better to send him into exile. Pakistan is not like Russia, where that opposition leader has died today in jail. Pakistan is not Russia, right? There will be repercussions and reactions. And at a time when the army is that weak, or as despised as it is, which is quite clear from the mandate of the people,
mm, mm,
uh, and the best survey in the world is an election.
right.
You know, frankly, Major Shah, you and I can do as much speculation as we want, and we can predict or forecast whatever we want to do. We can carry out the most scientific opinion poll surveys, but the best survey is an election, because that is where people have put their money where their mouth is. So,
Right.
and in Pakistan's case, this election, even with the looted mandate, simply tells
Mm,
you how despised the army is. This was at the end of the day, this was an anti-army vote. So if an army was to bump off Imran Khan, there's hell to pay. But you can't keep Imran Khan in jail indefinitely, because his party has won the damn election. And what do you do with the guy? He
mm,
can't be in jail indefinitely. There'll be a lot of pressure going forward. There'll be, and they're not in small numbers. They can obstruct everything. They can obstruct parliament. They can obstruct KP assembly. They can make life miserable for people in the Punjab assembly with their in large numbers. So it's not going to be easy, to ignore these guys. So you will try and do some kind of a compromise with them. But will Imran compromise? I don't think so. He's not the compromising kind. He goes for the kill. He likes to do that. So there are
right.
going to be problems out there. I don't know how they're going to, find a middle ground out there. And as far as Imran is concerned, he says, "Look, I have now the support of the people." Last time when I was sucking up to the army, I needed the army's support, right? I'm not sure of how much traction I'll get with the public. Now, the army has thrown the kitchen sink at me, and yet the public has voted for me.
Right.
So, he can show them the middle finger and just that's about it. So, he doesn't need to compromise as much as I think I would imagine the army needs to compromise. The army, on the other hand, will think that I don't need to compromise. I'm already in power and I can brazen it out. Uh, but that is what they thought in East Pakistan as well. So
Mm,
that doesn't end well, because in Pakistan, whatever else you might say, even dictators have managed to rule only because there was a modicum of public support they had. You cannot rule in countries like Pakistan without some kind of tacit or open public support. uh,
that's-
so I think they're going to have a big problem on that count. Within the army there are going to be problems going forward, because in the heartland of the army, uh, which is the districts in Punjab, especially North Punjab. Soldiery has to go back home and have
Right.
to hear all kinds of stuff, in the villages and other places. That kind of starts impacting on them. The same with the officer class. And there has been a kind of a middle class rebellion against the army and its dominance, especially in Punjab. I've been saying this for months altogether that look, what is different about this situation is there's always been an anti army sentiment in the other provinces of Pakistan, not in Punjab. This is the first time it's happening in Punjab, and it's not happening among people, who are the marginalized sections of society. It's happening among the people who are the bulwark of the state. It's the
Right.
judges, it's businessmen, it's the bureaucrats, it's people in the army, military, families, lawyers, doctors, professionals, you name it. These are the people, the opinion makers, the thought leaders, the so-called pillars of society who are rooting for Imran Khan,
Hmm.
against the army. So, you have to start seeing things in in what is palpable on the ground, to be able to see कि यार ये चलेगी नहीं, ये दुकान नहीं चलेगी, this company is not going to last very long. It's heading for a crash.
Right, sir.
And I
Right.
said
Very true,
company,
sir.
not right now.
The tea company. Sir, we saw, talking about D company, we saw another D company, but it was, I would say, the Hafiz Saeed's son. In fact, he was daring to come where they found a party, and Hafiz Saeed himself was from the jail, in the jail. So they made a big
Yeah,
mockery out
yeah.
of that.
No, Major, this is not a new development. Go back to 2018. These guys fought the election back then as well. They were brought
Right.
into the election thing, and this was a plan that had been prepared that look, let's mainstream these guys, because bring them into mainstream politics, give them a kind of a off ramp. uh, and so they fought the election last time as well. They got wiped out last time, they got wiped out this time. uh, I have yet to see the numbers, uh, in terms of the percentage of votes that the TLP has notched up. I didn't think Hafiz Saeed's party had any major chance to win. In any case, they kind of do not accept their association with the Lashkar-e-Taiba or the Jamaat-ul-Dawa, which is again a kind of disingenuity which is quite common among Pakistanis. But what is really of interest to me is to see, because I haven't seen that as yet. What are the kind of voting percentages that the TLP has notched up in Punjab and in Sindh? Last time it had emerged as the fifth largest political party in Pakistan, and the largest religious political party in Pakistan. This time also, very preliminary, I saw a few seats where they were fighting. They'd got a fairly healthy number of votes in some of those constituencies, 30, 40, 50,000 votes in many constituencies in Punjab. So I would be very interested to see whether the TLP has increased its percentage and its absolute vote, or it's static, or it's fallen. But I never really expected much to come the way of the this Milli Muslim League or Markazi Muslim League, whatever they call it. But even then, if you see, there are other sectarian parties which have managed to win a few seats. Again, not anything major, but they managed to win, like the Rahe-Haq party, which is basically of the Sunni extremists, the Shia extremist MWM, Majlis Wahadatul Muslimin. That's one provincial assembly seat. I believe TLP has won uh, a couple of maybe provincial assembly seats. They've not won anything in the national assembly. So yeah, they have managed to win a few seats. Some of these religious parties, but again, I think it's a mistake to construe from that that the Pakistanis have voted against religious parties. That's utter nonsense because every
Hmm.
even the so-called mainstream parties are religious parties. If you
Right.
if you peel off the skin, whether it's the People's Party, whether it's the Muslim League Nawaz, whether it's the PTI, um, how they articulate their religiosity, or the fact that they are Islam pasand, as it's called, that might differ. The lexicon might be different, the nuances might be different, um, but at the end of the day, uh, it's not as though they are preaching secular politics or anything like that. Far from it.
Right. Right, sir.
So
And
the
so,
bottom line is, if everybody's on the same page, then why would I want to vote for Jamaat Islami when I can vote for the good-looking Jamaat Islami, which is Imran Khan? Why would I want to vote for a TLP beyond a point when I can vote for another nice Barelvi party like PPP, or which is or Muslim League Nawaz, which is also at some level pragmatic, which is also at some level, you know, uh, I have a connect with. It's not a party of the underclass where I don't have any connect. It's a party of people who are open to everybody. TLP, this thing is of the underclass. The bulk of support of the
right.
TLP is the underclass. You don't see very well-heeled people join TLP. You see your local plumber, electrician, carpenter. That's the class which is going and joining TLP, or forms the bulk of the support. The daily wage worker. Uh, so the point is that uh, you know that's it's the choices are very clear for people that look, everybody is on the religious plane, everybody is on the same page, more or less. Uh, so I would rather go for the guys who have a certain connect, who are able to deliver certain things, rather than go in for these froth in the mouth mullahs. I think
Hmm.
that's the difference. It's not about Pakistani suddenly voting for liberal progressive party, because please show me how any of these parties is liberal, progressive, even democratic. Not one.
That's very true, sir. Very true. Sir, lastly, I'd like to ask you, normally when in India or any other country, when there are elections, there's a set of excitement. And people put up on social media that I voted with that black mark on their fingers. That, did you? So, because there is excitement. In Pakistan, don't they know that's all decided by the military? It's already pre-planned. It's only a formality. It's only a scam that's going on. So what is the excitement level one can expect from a common Pakistani? I mean, I'm asking you this because I thought of a better person to ask this question who would know their psyche very well, sir.
Yeah, this time there was. I think this time the atmosphere was very, very very tepid. You could call it. There was none of that usual. There was some campaigning. There were the usual road shows. The posters and stuff like that. But the kind of election fervor which comes, where everything is about how the campaigning is going on. There's a lot of color in how the campaigning happens, which used to happen in previous elections in Pakistan. Even though in virtually every election in Pakistan has been controversial, every election, in a manner of speaking, the winner has been known in advance, not because of their popularity indexes, but because that's how the power games were being played. And yet people would go out and vote. Um, Although this time also there were many people, who were showing the finger in the nice way to show that they've gone and voted. But there was none of the usual excitement, that kind of fervor which is there. Um, the campaigning was very, very. PMLN actually at the party level, at the top party level, Nawaz Sharif and company, They brought out their manifesto just about 10 days before the election, after which they said, we are now going to start campaigning. Come on, give me a break. Local level candidates for campaigning. Uh, but there is that party juggernaut which kind of starts rolling. When you, for example, when you have an election out here, there is the Congress party juggernaut where their leaders are going, and there is this plan of where their rallies are going to be held, where road shows are going to be held, where all kinds of things are going to be done. Uh, then there is the Modi juggernaut. He is rolling, flying from one end to another, addressing 5 rallies in a day, you know, rustling up support, trying to connect with people. You know what I'm talking about. We've seen it, right? That was not there. Bilawal Bhutto did it to some extent, but he was in any case trying to, establish or re-establish his party in Punjab, where it's virtually extinct. Although people will deny that because they've, I think, improved their tally in Punjab by 1 or 2 seats this time over the last election. But again, there's no real traction the guy has in Punjab. Many seats they've got, not even in 5 figures, the number of votes. Many places they are fourth, fifth, sixth in Punjab. Um,
So,
in some ways, its state of affairs in Punjab is what the Congress Party's state of affairs is in UP or maybe Bihar, where it was a behemoth at one point of time, and now it's virtually non-existent. So
oh, wow.
this is, I'm just using that as an analogy because then it helps audiences in
Yeah,
India, make certain connections.
right.
That's status of the Pakistan People's Party in Punjab, which is the state which gives more than 50% seats to the National Assembly. So you really need to start scoring in Punjab if you have to have any chance at the federal level. बट वो था नहीं
That's
तो
very
उसने थोड़ा बहुत किया the others in KP and Balochistan anyways. I think there was a wave of terrorism which kind of kept the campaigning at a low key. Punjab, because Imran Khan was not, they were not even allowed to hold corner meetings and stuff like that. Mohalla level meetings भी उनके आगे तोड़ देते थे ठुल्ले. So they were not allowed to do that as well. So they were out of the picture. Bilawal Bhutto does not get much traction. So even though he was doing it, it didn't make much
true.
difference. Nawaz Sharif kind of woke up very late, and they probably thought that he's winning the election hands down anyway. So why, waste your breath? Um, so yeah, you're right. There was no color in the election this time, and everybody had.
Right.
But the surprise in this election is the real story, because everybody was sure that Nawaz Sharif or PMLN is going to be winning this election. So why bother? The writing was
Right.
on the wall, but the writing was erased and replaced with graffiti, which had Imran Khan all over it. So yeah, that has been like the real spice of the election.
Right, right, sir. Sir, I sincerely thank you for your time. I understand that you're busy and you've been very generous and very kind with your time. You have on the talk just now and somewhere else. But before I let you go, sir, any last thing you would like to say from your end? Any a last message you would like to tell to people who follow closely Pakistan elections and they get for their entertainment, not for seriousness, but they follow it for their entertainment because वहाँ पे जो circus वहाँ का है, it's I think it's much more entertaining than any web series or any other place for that matter. Is that
Yeah, so I've always maintained, if you are hooked on to Netflix, you ain't seen nothing if you've not seen Pakistan. There's never a dull moment. There's always something or the other, something absolutely wacky, bizarre, which will happen, something, pulsating. I remember when I first started studying Pakistan, and I used to get Pakistani newspapers, I it was like dope. If you didn't get it in a morning, you felt withdrawal symptoms, because every day the headlines would have something really salacious, something explosive, something exciting, some conspiracy being done, some confabulation somewhere, somebody backstabbing somebody. It was like Game of Thrones raised to the power of 10, and I think Imran Khan has just added further masala to this Game of Thrones, this endless Game of Thrones season 75, 76, I can say. So yeah, it's the most exciting country. Imagine if you're studying Switzerland or Norway or Finland, you'll die of boredom. Pakistan, you can die of bomb blast, you can die of terrorism, you can die of police brutality, you can die in a military dungeon, you can die because the Taliban have kidnapped you, you can die because the ISI has butchered you, you can die of a million things. What you can never die in Pakistan of is boredom.
Very well said. So I agree with you. So after I will laugh after I go there because you're right. Absolutely, I was imagining thinking of studying Norway or Switzerland and thinking about Pakistan. Oh God. So thank you so much for your time. It was truly a delight, sir, being in
Pleasure.
conversation with you. I always admire your
Pleasure.
talks. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir.